So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for another Writer Salon session. Welcome back to Carlito, who was MIA for a little while because he's been busy writing his screenplay. Is it a screenplay? Is that what you call it, or script? Both. But just to make an announcement, guys, next Sunday is the last Writer Salon for this summer. We go on hiatus the entire month of August, so we will not be hosting any writing workshops. But we will be back the first week of September. Again, if you guys aren't part of the Mighty App Network, the writers community, I suggest you join. We post other workshops there as well that you guys could, sign up to while we come back. And a bunch of other information and resources to help you on your writer's path, okay? I am going to leave this session to Dr. Lissarette Nisnevich. Lissarette, did I pronounce your name correctly now?
Yeah, you did. But I like the Dominican flavor to it. It's great.
Nisnevich.
Yes. I remember when I met my husband, and I kept saying Nisnevich. And then one day he was like, it's actually Nisnevich, but I was really afraid to make you upset. So I just let it go.
Lissarette es una doctora straight out of Lomina. So, pa que sepa. Yes. So give him your version, where you from in DR, where you came from, what you're doing, what you do, and what you're going to do in this writing session.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen so you guys have a view of the presentation. And there you go. And everybody who joined today, we are going to be discussing my specialty, which is cultural trauma. And I decided to title today's workshop A Chancletazo Limpio, pero la chancleta siempre estaba sucia, because it's hilarious that we have that phrase in regards to how we were disciplined, which we're gonna get to that. About me, so I'm Dr. Nisnevich, and I am 300% Dominican. As Angie mentioned, I was born and raised in Dominican Republic in Calero, Villa Duarte, and then we moved to Lomina. I try not to be too ghetto, but sometimes it comes out involuntarily. It's part of growing up where I grew up. I'm currently a PhD in developmental psychology. I work with children, and I absolutely love it. I've been an educator and working with teachers and students for over 15 years now. And I've lived in 30 different countries, met a bunch of people, have a bunch of friends, some of them who did not know where Dominican Republic was, and I had to school them. That was really funny. I own a chain of childcare centers in New York City, soon expanding to Florida. And I am a mother of a 4-year-old amazing little kid who is probably going to cost me my sanity eventually, but I'm all for it. He is great, but he's half Dominican and half Russian, Ukrainian, Jewish. It's complicated. It's very complicated. When you see him and when you interact with him, it's complicated. So I would love to hear about you guys. If you can, I know a few of you from previous meetings, but I would love to if anybody wants to tell us about them. You don't have to if you don't feel like it, but it would be great to hear your names. What do you like to write? Like your preferred gender and where you're from, and something fun about you. Who wants to go?
I can go.
Go, Carlito.
So I'm Carlito. I go by he, him. I like to write scripts. I just finished writing a tragic romantic comedy about this Dominican guy. And yeah, I have the summer off, so I got time to work on my stuff.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. Anybody else wants to go?
Hi, good morning. Buenos
Good
dias.
morning.
Good
Hi, my
morning.
name is Celine. So I like writing. So usually I like writing like freestyle. I like to write my thoughts and stuff. But lately I've been thinking I want to write a script. So that's why I'm here. And my family's from Boca Chica. That's a question, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Were you
and-
like you were raised there?
no, so I'm from New York and my family,
It's
they're
from
from,
Santo. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Celine.
thank you.
Glory, yo vi que you unmute yourself.
You see, I'm Gloria Cabrera, and I am a hardcore Chicana from California, but I've been living in New York for 26 years in Inwood. So I am in the midst of Dominican land, which I love. And I think my Spanish sounds like I'm Dominican sometimes.
I actually thought you were Dominican.
Yeah, I love it. I have written I've lost all my work, but that's okay. And my work really focuses on trauma, on growing up Chicana in California. People don't think it's as racist as it was or is, but there was a lot of trauma growing up there. And I write essays on living here in New York and some lesbian poems, some straight poems that I'm going to have to recreate. And a fun fact of me, when I can, I want to learn how to tango. That's my next goal, to learn how to tango.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to jump in?
I'll take it. Hi, I'm Rosita. The preferred gender, I am gender free. I've lived in Brooklyn, New York. Fun fact is that when I was raising my third child, and she was 3 years old, I see on the screen you said you had a 3-year-old who's obviously now 4. But at the age of 3, it just seems like children are all of a sudden they explode into absorbing words and the meaning of it. At 2, they're still, not very talkative. At 4, they take it for granted. But at 3, it's like constantly asking for what does it mean? What is this and what is that? And I just love that age.
Yeah, it's actually a really fun one. Sometimes when we, this is my mentor used to say that sometimes when we go into the field or we prefer to hang out with a certain age group of children, it's because that was the age where we felt the most heard or we were the most hurt. And so it's a way of healing. So I, for example, love preschool and I love working with preschoolers. And at 4 years old is when I had like one of the most traumatic events in my life. And so I feel like I personally, subconsciously want to go back and just relieve that part and make it better. And I do that through the kids I work with. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of books about it. We're gonna get there. I have a bunch of stuff for you guys today.
I'm in the education field also. I work with high school students. And I also remember making that very conscious decision to work with adolescents because that was, my trauma was mostly in my adolescence. I had trauma throughout, but I wanted to heal that.
Yeah, it's something we explored for like a whole semester. Dr. Cardona was very conscious about it. And I remember when she asked me why I chose the age group that I was working with, and then she did this fleshing out, and I was like, oh my God, when you have that epiphany, you're like, oh my God, this makes sense. So totally. So we're going to start with a very simple exercise. And we're going to jump right into it because I feel the part where we're going to flesh it out is going to come after we have something down. So I want you guys to be ready to express yourselves. And you can make some notes if you'd like to, but this is an oral exercise. We are going to talk about the happiest childhood memory we have. Okay, algo chulo que tú te acuerdas and it's like happy. Why are we doing this? We're starting our workshop this way because usually when you go to a therapist, when you start working on healing, the first question they're going to ask you is, tell me about your childhood. Most of who we are and most of the way we embrace the world come from our childhood. And so it's important to remember. And usually it's very easy to be like, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me when I was a kid. It's easy to remember that it's there. But we have to do a little bit of thinking when it's like, tell me your happiest memory, this amazing childhood memory you have. And I don't want you to write about it because we're going to do a lot of writing in a moment. I want you to tell me about it. So if you're not comfortable, you can also write it down and I'm happy to read it from the chat. If you'd like 1 minute to think, we can do that. But just try to go back to the happiest memory you have from your childhood. Anytime between when you have memories, so 2 years old, you can all the way up to adolescent, like 15, but just something that you remember, you're like, this was awesome. And every time I think about it, a smile grows on my face, or I just feel inspired somehow. I can start with the happiest memory I have from my childhood. So my grandmother, as many Dominican grandmothers, had really interesting jewelry. And I did not know that my mother was adopted until I became an adult. This was never really discussed with me. I just knew I had two grandmas. So grandmother had 2 rings. She had a star sapphire ring, which was fascinating. And she had this ruby ring. When I became about 4, she gifted me the ruby ring. And I told her I wanted the other one. I was like, well, Grandma, I want the one with the pretty stone. And she told me, well, that is for my other granddaughter, which I did not know existed. And she's like, she lives in New York and she's gonna come visit. And so she's gonna get that one and you get this one. And I was really pissed about the ring for a while. I was like, wow, Grandma, you did me dirty. You know, this you're gonna give the ring to somebody who doesn't even spend time with you. But then later on, I go visit the pool and I have my ring and I'm upset about the ring. Remember this part. I'm like, I wanted the other ring and whatever. And the ring falls in the pool. A gigantic Dominican pool full of a lot of hyper Dominican children. I freaked and I started crying and I'm with my friend and she's like, what's going on? We're 5. I'm like, I lost my grandma's ring. We need to find it. She looks at the pool. We're 5. And she's like, there's no way. All the kids are, long story short, walk into the pool. I am convinced I'm going to find this ring. I'm bumping into kids and then I stepped on it. I used my foot to bring it up and I got my ring back. And that is the happiest memory I have because 1, I realized that I did care about the ring my grandma gave me. It was not the object itself, but what it meant to get that from her. And 2, I'm awesome. I found a ring in a pool. So that's my happiest childhood memory. Who'd like to go next?
I'll go next. In fact, I brought I don't know, can you see this picture?
Yes.
This is a picture of me, my older sister, my younger brother, and we're sitting on the Jeep of a Jeep of my father's car. And this was the last time I saw him or we saw him. And I think I was about 4 or 5. And what's special about that night, I wrote a poem about it, how it was, I don't know, it was kind of like a magical night and dusk was falling. My mom had us dressed nice and there was an atmosphere to it of being special. And what I remember especially about this picture is how much love I felt for my brother or my sister and how bonded I felt to them and how that night just seemed magical because he was with us. You know, he was with us and we didn't know it was going to be the last time it was. And so when we were leaving at the very end of the night, he told us to get on the Jeep so I could take a picture. And there we are just making faces at each other and fooling around. So that's one of my happiest memories.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Gloria. Who'd like to go next?
I'll take it. So
Thank
hi,
you.
I'm Rosita. I have nothing to show, but the happiest memories I remember was when after my oldest brother got married, my father rented out a vacation spot at the seashore, I forgot to mention that I'm from Colombia, Barranquilla. I'm on the Caribbean. I was on the Caribbean coast. I now live in Brooklyn, New York. So this place out in the country, oh, it was just so lovely getting up to the sounds of the birds and to see their hanging nests and how they played with each other, how they fought with each other. We had like at one point 14 dogs. And there was so many fruit trees, ciruelas, mangos, guayabas, mamones, mamoncillos, just about everything. And then my mother started raising chickens, and that was a lot of fun too, watching her feed the chickens. And it was just so, and there was plenty of room to run and plenty of places to explore. My oldest sister used to take us different places. One time she got on a donkey, and a wild donkey, and that donkey took off, and there was this branch of a tree, and like she was on the floor. There was like 1,000 tiny little pink crabs. Oh, they were so gorgeous. Just unheard of. It was just beautiful. We spent like 2 years there. And also it was a time when I began to explore when the little businesswoman kind of came out, and in the fundraiser for school, and I used to take uvitas playas. I haven't never seen that before. They look like blueberries, but a little more tart. And we used to climb on that tree. Oh, it's just gorgeous.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And I made the most money for the school that year because I would bring. It was free, you know, my product was free, and then I would sell it at school. So it was really, really divine 2 years.
Oh, that sounds like an amazing painting. I would totally paint that picture of the beach and the fruits, and just I like, as you're saying, I could smell the ocean and just the peace that comes with being in that kind of. Thank you so much for sharing, Rosita. Who'd like to go next?
I can go.
Thank you, Eileen. Go ahead.
So my favorite childhood memory actually starts a little bit sad. I lost my first dog. Her name was Sheila. And I would spend days upon days just crying, even in school, at home. And I would hide when I would cry. And I didn't know if anybody was like seeing me in a way. And then there was this morning that my mom was calling me like, "Ven, que tu tío está aquí, you know, like come and say hi to your uncle." And I'm like, "Okay, but I just woke up." And she's like, "You need to be here now." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this lady's being insistent." And when I arrived to like say hi to my uncle, he passes me this like little, like almost kid-sized shoebox. And I was like, "Those will not fit." In my head, I'm like, "Those will not fit." And my mom's like, "Just open it." And when I opened it, it was a little dog. And just, you know, he became my best friend. And yeah, it was just like that moment that I was like, now I get to cry about happiness. It was one of my.
Yes, I love the transition. Thank you for sharing. You know?
Thank you.
That's amazing. Who'd like to go next?
I'll go next.
Go, Celine.
So, in Santo Domingo, my grandma had a little blue house, and right across from the house, there was, the neighbors had a guayaba tree. And I remember I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I climbed up the tree and I sat in like a little curve, and I sat there and I ate guayaba, and my grandma comes out, and I just, what makes me so happy about that memory is the visual of me sitting in the tree eating guayabas, and the way she would say my name. She came out, she's like, "Pero Celina, ¿qué tú haces, muchacha?" And like that just makes me so happy. I could hear her voice in my head, and yeah, that was my memory.
Thank you for sharing. Memories come with feelings, and that is the amazing thing of going back to them. They help you write. They help you heal. So it's a great thing that you remember that so fondly. I also had like a picture of the tree and you sitting there, and I imagine your beautiful curly hair. Or maybe some moñitos with bolitas. Because
Yeah.
I
Oh
know,
yeah. My grandma
yeah,
would do it with her.
I got it. Thank you for sharing. Who'd like to go next?
I guess I will. I You just remind me of something beautiful. When I was a child, we were like, I believe we were about 40 cousins. And the visit to grandma's house was something that almost every Sunday we used to do. And because we were so many cousins, there was somebody's birthday all the time. So my grandmother used to buy the bizcocho de los chinos, the 3 pesos, and 12 of those red rock things. And those were the happiest day in my life, with the exception that my birthday is December 31st. So there was no bizcocho de los chinos. So my grandmother decided that I should have a birthday anytime that I wanted to. Because I used to cry like, it's not my birthday, nobody's coming to be with me. So I just had a birthday in July and a birthday in November. Wherever there was nobody's birthday, I said, it's my birthday today. So we could have the bizcocho de los chinos and los refrescos colorados. Those are
Yes.
my happy memories.
Marcia, that sounded like a poem. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That was awesome. Bizcocho de los chinos, refresco colorado. That is
Yes.
something there. Hold on to that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'd like to move along because I know we have a lot of stories to share and everybody's gonna have a chance. So we're gonna move on to the next exercise that's a little longer, and hopefully everybody's gonna, or other of the participants are gonna be able to share. So from those memories and from going back memory lane, I want us to move on to writing. So let's write about how we grew up. What was your upbringing like? I want everyone to write a short essay, 1 paragraph max, about the key points of your upbringing. Remember, this is your story to share. What would you like whoever reads this story to know about you? I'm gonna give everybody 2 minutes to put down. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're gonna read them if you feel like sharing. Wish I could play some merengue or something while we're writing. One minute. Right. I'm going to share what I briefly just wrote, and then you can tag along. It was the last decade of the 80s, and there I was, unexpected from the forsaken womb of my mother, who had been told time and time again that she would never bear a child. I grew up in a casita de cartón, taken away by Hurricane George back in '98. When we moved, my father came from the shadows and offered to pay for school. My proud Dominican mother refused. It was both of us, all alone, pa'lante. I graduated from all the things, fell in love, felt all the feelings. There were no winters where I grew up, only fire and warmth. Who'd like to go next?
I like the contrasts, the fire and the water. And they offer your father coming out of nowhere, wanted to help, but
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think those are, I wanted to mention the most relevant things
Right.
that happened. I think my childhood was intense, but the fact that my mom was not supposed to have children, and she did, and where we grew up. And then I remember when we came back to our house after we took shelter at my grandmother's house, and there was no house. So the hurricane took it. And it was not just ours, many people lost their home back then. And then how my father came after years, all of that, it's like the epicenter for me growing up.
And I love La Casita de Cartón.
It was, that's why it was gone when the hurricane came.
The three little pigs, you blow on it, it's blue, it's gone.
Not good material. Alrighty, would like to share, somebody who hasn't shared before would be awesome, but open to anybody who's brave and wants to jump in.
I'll take it.
Go for it.
Okay, so my upbringing was very strict. There were a lot of prohibitions. Maybe that is why I love those 2 years in the countryside. Although the restrictions existed there as well, for example, we would dip into the ocean only at 6 o'clock in the morning after 5 o'clock mass, mind you, because goddess help us, anyone would see us in a bathing suit. Those years were full of freedom, a lot of sunshine and running and being away from the eyes of very strict mother, grandmother, father. It was just lovely. It was a respite from all that restriction. We had a lot of freedom.
Thank you for sharing. That was really good. I think there's a lot for you to flesh out there, but I get the idea of how you remember, your childhood being disciplined and strict, and then having freedom was just a breath of fresh air, like the ocean. Thank you, Rosita. Who'd like to share next? Ahí vamos, don't be shy. You can put it on the chat y yo lo leo. I want to hear your stories.
I'll go.
Yay, Carlitos, go ahead.
Okay, I grew up in a big household with my grandparents, mother, sister, 3 cousins, and a dog. A house where my aunt would go with her husband and some of my cousins every week. A house where my uncle would visit at least 3 times a day, mientras vendía pan o estaba de mujeriego. A house where I would get into fight with other kids, then would play together. Siempre había una asamblea y rezábamos y cantábamos. Me gustaban todas las canciones, and I stopped there.
That's good. Oh, that's good. I want to know more, so that's great. When you say
busy
go
house,
ahead, Jessica.
busy household.
When you say canciones, you mean canciones cristianas? Okay, so now I'm a visual learner, so I love having a movie playing in my head about what I'm reading. Oh, that sounds lovely. Thank you for sharing. Who'd like to go next?
I'll go next. Growing up on Via Cocha San Lorenzo was confusing. I sat in front of the large television set watching I Love Lucy. Mom took Peggy and baby brother with her to someplace unknown and left me behind. Tia Betty was supposed to call to tell me the exact time I was supposed to go to school, to Head Start. Only she had 5 children of her own and normally forgot. So I sat on the floor watching Lucy and Ethel get into trouble and wishing Desi was my father. I never understood why I was left behind or why Mom got so mad when she came home to find me sitting exactly where she left me.
Thank you, Gloria. That was powerful. That was very powerful. Because there you have several themes. The way I see it is, and if somebody has something else that they caught, I would love for them to share, but I see that you're growing up watching something that you want to become, but you don't understand why. And you're being fed this idea as you're watching it. And at the same time, there's this side story going on of your mom coming and going, and you not really understanding exactly this dynamic. So thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to comment on Gloria or share? Celine?
I'll share. I didn't get to finish. That's what
It's okay.
I grew up going to DR every summer and Christmas from the time I was 4 years old. My mother thought it was very important for me to spend time with my family. I had a lot of cousins, and I was also the youngest cousin of the youngest daughter. We were the only ones from the family who lived in the States, so everyone treated me differently in a great way. Whenever I would go to DR, all of my family members had an itinerary of the things we were going to do together. They knew I loved water parks, the beach, nature. So we spent a lot of time doing the things that I wanted to do. That's all.
That's another beautiful memory. I feel like, I don't know if it's me, I feel like obviously the place where I grew up, DR where I grew up, doesn't exist anymore, has changed a lot. So the memories I have of childhood and El Campo, y Los Rio, and all that stuff, it's very unique in mine, because some of those places are not even there anymore. So thank you for sharing that, Celine.
I like the line, the youngest cousin of the youngest daughter. And then what that means.
Yeah, there's a whole lot I can unpack from that line.
This is good. Oh my God. And we only have this little time, but I want to just write with you guys like for days and days and days. Anybody else would like to share? All righty. I'm gonna go on to the next slide. One moment. So I actually wanted to share this short video with the class because I want us to flesh this out in a creative way after we watch it. It's a little bit on the scientific side, but I feel we can pick on it. I don't know if probably some of you, I know some of you work with children and some of you probably have heard this. There's a theory, so a theory called the attachment theory. And it tells us how we grow up to be depending on how our childhood was, right? And our childhood can be many things. We can grow up with mom and dad, or we can grow up with grandma, or some of us can grow up utterly alone. I have a girlfriend who, her parents were not around, and she was cooking for her siblings and taking care of herself. And so she never really had an opportunity to be a child because she was always doing this adult stuff from a young age. So I just want us to skip through this from the first 2 minutes, and then I want us to talk about how do you feel your upbringing affected who you are today. Let me know if you can hear it. Yeah, can you hear it? I'll link you through it. So I'll go over it myself. So the attachment theory presents the idea that if we have a good upbringing, then we are securely attached, meaning that if you have a feeling that you have somewhere to go back to, then you are free and happy and secure to go and explore the world. But if you don't, then you might not feel safe going out there because you don't know if there's going to be a place for you to go back, and you don't know if the world is safe. You haven't been made feel safe, so you know it's safe for you to go and be your own person. So when people have successful upbringings, which means they are securely attached, they have great social skills and they can have good job interviews and they go through life and they do a little better than people who don't have secure attachment. There is one secure attachment version and 3 disorganized ways of attachment or non-secure attachment, which it's how we respond to life when it gets chaotic. So depending on how you attached and then stress comes in, you react in a certain way. So if we observe, this video puts a really good example of a family with 4 children. And the younger we have experiences, the more they affect us for the rest of our lives. So the oldest child in this video, and I'm just going through because you can't hear it, is 6 years old. So at age 6, you've already become who you are. If you had any traumatic experiences between ages 0 to 6, this is going to severely affect you as an adult. It is, the research back this up. And so after 6 years old, it is just easier for you to go through life because you are developed and you know how to go about things. So a person like this usually goes through life with, obviously there are challenges, but not as many as if you grew up insecurely attached. Then you have a child who is a little younger. So when the people who are taking care of us, which is usually the story that we as Latinos grow up with, when you have a caregiver, a person who's unpredictable, you don't know how they're going to react. You go to them with your feelings, you go to them with something that you don't know if they're going to be like, vete de ahí, muchacha, o ¿qué es lo que tú quieres? O te van a dar una galleta. You don't know, then you become anxious because you don't know. And that's how you approach people. Then you have another example here where you have an even younger child. So this child is 2, and he's been cared for by a person who's very strict, meaning that when a child is being a child is being loud, it's just doing what children do, and they're told to stop. The message that it's been sent to you and that stays with you is you should not be yourself or show your emotions around people. So you grow up not understanding why this happens. And this type of attachment is called anxious avoidance. This sort of people avoid social interactions because they don't know the predictability and they've been told that they shouldn't be this way. And finally, when you are very, very young and you grow up in an environment that is overly, like people are stressed, caregivers are poorly trained, they don't want to deal with this, then this is actually what develops more anxiety and a dysregulated, which means an erratic way of processing feelings. And I wanted to bring this up because usually when people grow up like this, they have a very negative self-image, and it's not voluntary. A lot of the things that we do and a lot of the things that we are unconscious, subconscious. They come with us, and that's why it's so important to go back to how our stories were shaped and by who they were shaped.
Wow, what a video. Can you put that on the chat? Can we
Absolutely, I would love to. Let me just copy the link right here. I have it right here, and I'm gonna put it on the chat. This video, it's such a great short version of like basically getting a PhD, but it's just really good. How do I open the chat? Aha, chat. Da, da, da. There you go, guys. And now I want to make book and reading recommendations before we move on to our next exercise. There are 3 books that are incredible when it comes out to approaching our upbringing, cultural trauma. And it's never too late for you to take control of whatever it's happening. Like people think, oh, it's too late for me. I'm already, it's never too late. Being conscious about the experiences we have and how they affected us, it's power. So I'm going to start with this book, which I am very, very happy that Oprah co-authored with her own story. So for many of you probably know who Oprah Winfrey is and know that she had a very, very difficult upbringing with a lot of physical abuse, with a lot of challenges growing up in segregated Alabama. She writes this book with one of my favorite child psychiatrists, Dr. Bruce Perry. And they write, there's a lot of videos on it. I'm happy to link you guys to it. They have conversations. And what I love about this book is that she says, a lot of people ask people who are traumatized, what's wrong with you? You know, but the right question to ask is, what happened? Gloria, are you sharing? Because you're on mute.
I was agreeing because I did that deep childhood trauma healing, and it is, what you're saying is true. And we, you know, I know that we get stunted at that age when we are traumatized. And then we, you know, I reacted to everything, and yeah, it's hard work, but the reward is the being happy.
Yes, it's taking control of you instead of these memories and all the taking control of you. So the question shouldn't be, what's wrong with me? The question should always be, what happened to me? What happened to you? Go back to your story, analyze your story, and see how it links to today. Well, I don't like when, like, for example, me, I know I have this thing with stares. Like when people stare at me for too long, it makes me anxious. And when I was doing my trauma healing, I was like, why does this, why? Like, and it's back to my childhood. My mother's stare could mean that a pela was coming. She's staring at me for too long. I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So I start thinking, like, what am I doing? What am I wearing? What is it? Because sometimes there was not a warning. There was just people. So what happened to you? It's a great book. It's a little bit of a big read, but if you are interested in healing and you're interested in learning, highly recommend. And then there's the videos with Oprah on YouTube that you can watch as you're reading. Wonderful. There are others of us who have body, and these are physical manifestations of our trauma. So we may be prone to gain weight, we may be prone to lose weight, we may be prone, there's a lot of things that physically manifest. And I love The Body Keeps the Score. I highly recommend this book to anybody trying to understand how our bodies process trauma, because it physically stays with you. And it's important for us to understand how that affected us physically to move on. We also learn coping mechanisms and reactions and things that we unconsciously do that we created to keep ourselves safe, to keep ourselves alive, because we didn't know what was going to happen. When you grew up in an abusive household, in a place where you didn't know what was going to happen next, you needed to do what you needed to do to keep yourself safe. And finally, I want to recommend The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog. This book has, and it's again, Dr. Perry, which is an absolute brilliant person. He has the trauma response centers in low-income communities in Chicago and other parts of Midwest. And he treats children that other places won't see because they say they're far gone. I love this man and I love what he does, and his books are amazing. And the fact that Oprah partnered with him tells me that he's doing the right work. So The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog is a compilation of stories of children who were raised in unusual conditions and succeeded as adults. And so I highly recommend it. The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, to me, was an easy read. It goes fast, and the stories are, you're gonna connect, at least with one of them. Any questions, comments? Because we're gonna get back to writing in a moment. Remember that you don't have to talk. You can always write on the chat, and I can read it out loud. I don't mind. Let me see. All right. So we get back to putting our thoughts into paper. We're going to do some poetry right now for our caregivers. Please describe your parents using poetry. If you were raised by grandparents or other caregivers, then use them as the subject instead. This is a description. So what do you think the reader might want, or how do you want them to picture these caregivers and the things you want them to know? We're gonna do this, we're gonna do 5 minutes, so everybody has enough time to flesh out. Two minutes. I have a few seconds left, so let's wrap it up. If anyone would like to go before me, I'm okay with that. Would love to hear your poem. Lila, is your hand up?
Sí, ya,
Adelante.
es Lila. Buenas, muchas gracias. Not necessarily a poem. I don't know. I don't know what it is right now. Just getting into the flow of writing. It says, early on in life, I mostly remember Papi in the home. He was usually the one who ran the house. Mommy would go off to work. Papi tenía una mano dura y una sonrisa carismática. We had nannies and domestic workers in our young childhood, young women that Papi took the opportunity to manusear. I could presence from a really young age the tension between Mami and Papi. En la calle, pillars of our community. Mami una luz estrella. En nuestra comunidad, los dos maestros. Pero en la casa, a growing silence. Broken trust again and again. One day, Papi left para Nueva York. And soon after that, Mami left for the States too, Miami. Y nosotros, mi hermanito y yo, left con mamá. I can remember my hair falling out.
Wow, from stress.
Thank you for sharing. That
Thank
was
you.
that was extremely good. I love your sequence. Even though it was very short, it really gave a clear picture of what you were trying to illustrate. And that was a very powerful story. Love the combination of the Spanish and English as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to go? I'm happy to read what I wrote, if that will give you some time to maybe.
I'll go.
Adelante, Gloria.
And thank you for this. I've never written this. A young, impressionable girl, about 21, leaves home to find independence. Christianity draws her back to the home front. Fresno Valley, land of the picking fields. She finds escape con un hombre 20 years older, un Mexicano educated, a man who wore suits. A honeymoon in Guadalajara, a mismatched couple. Romeo and Juliet could not compare. The dark side of life. He drinks to kill pain. She cries, wanting to die. 3 children later, their love affair is over. All that's left are horror stories to plant.
Whoa. Whoa.
Thank you, Gloria.
The ending is a little unexpected. I expected more, but it's all in there. It's all in there. I like he drinks to kill the pain and she cries, wanting to die. It's like really describe the relationship.
Yeah.
And then the romance is over. Wow.
And that happens a lot with young couples. When they start it's like a fire. And then what's left? And then there's children. And so we stay in the aftermath. Go ahead, Rosita.
Oh, okay, I'll take it. So, all right, so I begin with, she was overpowering to all. She was domineering and dominant, sandwiched between 13 children, 4 of whom had died, an immature husband, a grandmother who needed care, an ex-wife with another 3 children, managing a business with 3 employees, plus a cook and washer, but never a housekeeper. One could see how she was overwhelmed and overwhelming. One may wonder how she could keep it all together.
Thank you, Rosita.
So even though it's profile of one person, it's like you can see everything else, right? Who else is there?
But this is really good. I think this is a great beginning. I'm in love with all of your stuff. It's now I want books, like a whole book so I can sit and read it. It's so good. Like seriously, guys, please don't stop. Somebody else like to go?
I wish Dominican writers would publish a book of our writings.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Aggie. Celine, go ahead.
Okay, this is just a start. All right, so it's funny what wearing different glasses can do to your vision. Then you were the big mean woman who stomped around, drank, and yelled at me. Now, with the different glasses I wear, you are the big small girl who's deeply wounded, hurting, screaming out for help.
Whoa.
I am not supposed to cry. I'm supposed to be an adult right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm supposed to let it out if I need to. That was good.
Thank you.
I loved how you used the fact of visualizing seeing somebody, and you're making this reference to the glasses. Because I'm seeing you, and I see you. And I feel that's the message that I got from listening to you. That was great.
Thank you.
So somebody else would like to go?
I can go.
Clara, is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Clara.
Okay. Curly hair, Diana Ross style, white, confident smile, deep, warm brown eyes, the life of the party, La Loca, singing at every giving time. Curly hair, Medusa gel on, straight lips, stern, fiery gaze. Dancer of sadness and fear, trying to survive. That's it.
Thank you. That sounds like a person who could be related to me somehow. I'm always singing from no reason. And I used to have the big hair. This makes me wonder how my kids are going to describe me in the future. All right, I'll read and then we can move until the next exercise. Abuela was the sweetest word and the greatest place because I knew there was always a home in my grandmother's heart. Abuela had the most beautiful hands. They told the story of working the fields, a chocolate factory, and finally raising her children. She had wrinkles that looked like roads and scars from cooking too fast or too much. My abuela looked like she wasn't from home, with her long azabache-colored hair and eyes, her skin como la caoba, tirando a rojo. And yet, with a small frame, abuela could lift me and the supermarket bags easily. I learned strength with gentleness by looking at her.
Oh, I love that, Grandma.
Thank you. I was trying to find a picture because I miss her like crazy. There's not one day I don't mention Grandma, and all my stories are about Grandma. She was the best. If somebody else wants to share, we can move on to the next exercise. Oh, I have something on the chat. It's good.
I'm happy to share.
Go for it, Eileen.
Okay. Poetry is not my strongest suit, so I will just preface there. Okay. Ella aguantó. The pressures, the squeezes, the golpes. Don't get me wrong, none were physical, but perhaps that made it harder to see her. I wish I could have seen her in her entirety. Papi left as soon as she decided to take the blinds off. I wonder how hard it was for her to pretend that she couldn't see all those years. I miss when we were all together. I miss what I now know was a fake screen.
Thank you. Wow, that was amazing. Marcia, go ahead.
Never written a poem, so I just didn't try, okay? But My grandmother teaching are easy to remember because with care and love, she showed you how to be. She showed you how to be caring. She showed you how to be helpful and consider. And at the end, you were with her, all love. That's it.
I think that's more than enough. Thank you. All love. Isn't that what every child needs, that the caregivers are? All love. Oh, all love. Yes. Now these are fire. Please do not discard these. Save them somewhere, because I think these are beginnings of great stuff. We're going to write a letter. And we're gonna start it with the Marcia, you had something you wanted to share?
No, thank you.
So we're gonna write a letter now. This is with the dear John, dear, and then the same one you would drop in the mailbox so the mailman will take it or will hand deliver. Let's write a letter, and maybe that will help us put on some thoughts that we haven't shared before. Remember, this is a safe space, and you can say the things that you would like. We're gonna do this in 3 minutes because we have one last.
Excuse me, who are we writing the letter to? To anyone?
No, you are going to write a letter to the people who raised you. So since I don't know who that was, it was your mom or your dad or your grandma or a neighbor or your pet, who do you feel was the person who was there to shape who you are? Write them a letter. It can be a good letter, it can be a not so great letter. You can be letting them know that what they did was not okay. You can be letting them know how grateful you are. Your choice. One minute. Alrighty, let's come back. Who's ready to read their letter? All right, I'm happy to go first if that gives you a moment to maybe tweak it up. Dear Mommy, how I wish you didn't work so many hours every day. Ah, yes, I do hope this letter finds you well. I want you to know that I understood, even though you thought I was too young to do so. How deeply were you able to love that you never ever loved again? It was just you and I for the longest decades. And yet expressing the love that you had was so hard that I had to constantly ask you to know for sure. You see, it wasn't the poverty, the lack of electricity, food, or safety. It was the times when you were too busy that scared me the most. Now I have a hard time being busy myself because I don't want to make my son feel that way. ¿Tú entiendes? But I understand you did your best. I understand without a mother yourself or a father like me, you did your best. I am so sorry that our culture encourages our fathers to leave. I wish we could make it better for the little girls like you and me. And that's where I stopped. Thank you. Who'd like to jump in?
Todo el mundo está callada.
Dale, Rosita, break the ice.
Okay. All right. Querida mami, quiero que sepas que tras tantos años de reclamos, rabietas, recriminaciones y acusaciones, he podido despojar tanto sufrimiento de mis entrañas. He podido llegar al punto en que te agradezco que incorporaste mi vida en tu vida. Una vida tan amarga como la tuya solo podría engendrar una vida tan amarga como la mía. Yo sé que tú no tuviste las oportunidades de sanar como yo, y solo ahora veo que mi amargura fue tu amargura. Y te agradezco por mantenerme en tu vida. Punto.
Thank you, Rosita.
Okay, I will go. You're cutting deep today. You're going deep, honey.
Yes.
We're like need to put an oxygen mask. Okay, querida mom, how do I say all the things I've stuffed deep down into the dark recesses of my belly? I watched from a distance this vibrant, gorgeous you who bore me shine her light on others. I watched in silence, hoping you'd notice me. I yearned to be picked up gently, to rest in your lap, to feel connected. I yearned for you to see me. Instead, I watched from the shadows, hopelessly in love with you.
Oh, so sweet.
Thank you.
I'll go with Clara.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Dear Cachola, thank you for being there for me. Thank you for giving me grace and allowing me to find normalcy in the chaotic, manic back and forth. Thank you for showing glimpse of love, of understanding, of being strong, of not giving up, regardless of how tired we are. Thank you for being my constant. And sorry, now I'm getting emotional. Thank you.
Feel it.
Okay. And sorry for never seeing it before, for never giving you the credit that you deserve, for not understanding what was going on. But now I know, although I don't say much or show it, I love you very much. I think of you every day and tap into every teaching that although you never told me, I saw every day. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Clara. That was awesome.
This is truly a healing workshop, you know?
Seriously.
That's the idea. But the amazing thing is that we're connecting because we can relate to the other person's experience. That's how powerful this is.
Right, but it started out with, you know, the bad, well, the good stuff, right? But then the bad stuff, and then the somehow there's a reconciliation going on here in these latest sharings.
Yeah.
You know, I did on my writing and on my work, it made me realize, and especially maybe with my operation, made me realize that my mother also was a product of intergenerational trauma.
Right.
You know,
And
it made, and my father too, and you know, intergenerational trauma that comes from white supremacy and oppression. And it really helped me to really understand and forgive both of them.
one last sharing. I see that Celine unmute herself, so I'm wondering.
Yes, I would like
Go
to
for
share.
it.
Do it. I felt like I hated you for your addiction. Even then, at a young age, I was very aware of it because it was source of the bad things that you said and did to me. But I don't feel that hate in my heart anymore because I see you differently. You are hurting so badly for the things that happened to you. I wish things didn't happen to you. I just want to help you and hold you. But you don't want my help. So I pray. I pray for your happiness, true happiness. I pray for your healing. I pray for your health. And I just want you to know, I need you to know that I love you. I love you so much, and I will always help and support you. But please consider me too.
Thank you, Celine. I really love the fact that you acknowledge that sometimes we want to help, but people don't want the help. So you pray and you wish them the best and you put that energy out there for them. So that's it. You doing the work and then they have to do their own. We're moving to one of our last exercise. My God, you guys are incredible.
Woo! I just wanted to say thank you so much. I really appreciate this workshop, but I have to go now. So
Okay, no, it's all right. We have 5 minutes, and this is our last. We have this, and then I wanted to discuss this, and then that's it. So this is our last exercise today. It was so nice to have you here. Thank you for coming.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Celine, if you want to access the rest of the workshop later, just email me and I'll send you the video, okay?
Yes, I'll email you. And I wanted to ask you, what's the name of the other workshops you mentioned before, or where I can find the other workshops?
So if you go to our, we have a Mighty Network, which is where we have our writers community. So just email me about the writers community, okay? And I'll send you the info.
Okay, I will. Thank
Bye,
you
have
so
a good
much.
Sunday.
Bye. You too.
So our last exercise today is going to be one last letter. And this letter is for you. You are going to write a letter to your 10-year-old self. Why 10? Because as I mentioned before, at age 6, you are who you're going to be for the rest of your life. And then the experiences that you experience from 6 to 10 you're handling them as who you are. And so I wonder, when you were 10, how were you handling life? What was happening? And what do you feel you needed to hear that nobody said? What would you tell your 10-year-old self so they can go through, or they can keep going, or they can hang on? We're gonna do that 1 minute, and then we'll share and we'll end it there. Few seconds. Alrighty. Who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Please go ahead.
Let's see. In spite and because of everything that has led you here, you will be, and you will grow and have the right to choose again and again how you shift towards the sun. Keep following your breath and open your heart to the possibilities.
Thank you. I love that it was short, but so sweet and so perfect. Fantastic work. Who would like to go next? Rosita, I saw that you muted yourself.
Yes, I'm still writing, but I can
Okay.
do what I have. So,
Go for it.
Dear Rosita, life has not been easy for you or for any of your siblings. Life felt so lonesome, so many people around you, but no one you could trust or in whom you could confide. No one seems honest enough to be able to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you. But hang in there, because you will find those with whom you will be able to talk on a really warm, fuzzy level. Love you.
Thank you, Rosita. It's really beautiful. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit, so I'm gonna read what I wrote, which is also very brief. And then one more person can share, and then we can wrap it up. Querida Lisa, Te escribo en español porque tu inglés ahora mismo no es el mejor, pero te defiendes y eso es lo que importa. Esta nueva escuela y estos nuevos amigos son parte importante de tu vida. Ahora se ve como que te están controlando, pero no es así. Tú siempre serás tú. Ya serás grande y podrás tomar decisiones, aunque te digo que no te va a gustar tanto como tú crees. Y trata bien a Lady. Ella es realmente la única persona ahí que vale la pena y te necesita. No cambies por caerle bien a nadie. Tu mamá te quiere. No lo dudes.
Oh, nice. That was a lot of writing.
I write really fast. And also it's simple to write to a 10-year-old. Simple language, just a straight up letter, because I know myself. I need things to be concise. Like, this is what you need to do. One more person before we wrap it up. But we're not gonna go over this. If you guys would like to stay in touch, that's my handle absolutely everywhere. I'd love to connect. You guys are wonderful, and I am going to continue coming to the workshops. This is dope. And thank you for sharing. I'm particularly in love with the writing of like a few people here. So I'm probably gonna be creepy and be like, do they have anything out there that I can like follow up?
Well, maybe because, you know, maybe you could have like your own little group of these writers who want to work on writing that type of work, right?
Yes. Who knows? Maybe we can put out a healing anthology.
Yes. There
Yes.
you go.
There you go.
Healing.
A childhood trauma healing anthology.
There you go. Based on real stories from real people
Yeah, yeah,
who have done the work or are doing the work.
right.
Right. And you could teach one of these once a month.
I would love to. This was amazing.
like-
This hit me hard. I thought I was gonna keep it together.
So just like choose different topics that you want to teach every month and just sign up. Let us know.
I'm gonna do that. You guys are incredible. My gosh, this was amazing.
Truly connected to the workshops. People
wanted-
cried. I saw some people crying.
Thank you. You know, I've done a lot of work and you pose questions that I've never thought about. So thank you.
No, thank you for being here and for being open to sharing. I'm honored to be part of this. Seriously.
I think
Marcia, thank you for joining. I think this is the first time you join one of our workshops, correct? Oh, you're on mute.
You're mute.
This is my second time because usually I am at church at this time, but today it was really hot. So no, this is going to be my church. But I will try to be here.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. These are like the only times that we could host these workshops because later on people don't sign up. If I do it later in the day.
No problem. No problem. This is perfect time. Everything has a perfect time in life. And this is the perfect time.
right.
Yes, thank you. So ya comprometimos a Lissarette. She's gonna do one of these once a month.
Yeah.
Yes. We healing here.
For anyone who wants to work through this trauma. So ya están en manos de una psicóloga. So imagínate.
Oh, really? Are you? Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so,
I'm a developmental
Angie,
psychologist.
thank you for bringing her on. Thank you.
Yes, Lissarette and I have been, Lissarette publishes children's books, by the way. And that's
she does?
how I met because she consulted me about doing a children's book and we've been friends ever since then.
I am published because of Angie.
So Lissarette has published 2 books. One of them is called, ¿cuál el primero? I forget the first title.
LD Makes New Friends.
LD Makes New Friends, and it's about this bear who is from a mixed family, just like her child is. Her child is half Dominican and half Russian. So it's about making friends with different ethnicities and whatnot. And her second book is called Yo Amo Mi Pajón, and is a self-affirmation book for little girls on loving their hair. So if you go to her website, you could purchase her books. They're also on her Instagram account. And if they aren't, let me know para darle un boche.
Ya, ahí van los boches de Angie, que siempre me lo
But
llevo.
you should be able to access her books through her website and get a signed copy. And yeah, porque you know.
Yes,
Lissarette is
whatever.
a-
Just reach out to me. I'll send it to you. I'm happy to share. Yeah, you know, I'm. It's a mixed race family, my family, and I want my son to embrace. So I wrote that book specifically for children like him. And Angie has connected me with a bunch of people who reach out to me. They're like, I got your book because I met Angie and she told me about it. So I'm really grateful.
I got you a book, Yo Amo Mi Pajón, and I gave it away to a couple of kids. I didn't know that I was going to be meeting you. So that's wonderful.
Wow, mira esto.
Now, I mean, it's really, I started in Montclair, a group for Latinos de Montclair. So I've been pushing books like that, and you know, for the kids, because I decided I was going to start working with kids.
So Lissarette
that's
also
perfect.
does school visits, Marcia.
Yeah, I do readings
Yeah.
as well,
So
virtually or
if-
in person.
She does school visits. So if you want to bring her into the school and read the book to the kids, she's available.
That would be great, and I have the.
Ya
some
Lissarette
books
me
that-
debe un 50%, me debe.
Ya,
Lissarette.
es que te
Okay.
digo que sin Angie no hay vida. Angie es todo, everything.
Watch some books, Sally. They just have the person that wrote Neruda in the Park books. They just have her. That would be a great place, and I will make sure that I mention you to Magda to see if she brings you in.
Yes,
If we can do it, she can do it.
Clavis lives
That
in Montclair.
Oh,
Yes, she does. So and Lisa, where are you?
I am in East Harlem.
Okay, so
And I
we
think
can do.
Clara, you're not too
Exactly.
far from Montclair, are you? Are you still there? Are you too far?
left.
Are you far from Montclair? There you go.
Great, I'll send you the
And
information.
Clara tiene un children's book también.
Oh, great.
¿Cuál es el de Clara?
You're muted, Clara.
Camila in the Rain.
It's about
Camila
this
de
little girl who's bored at home and she
I need this. Okay, because I've gotten everyone's book. How come I haven't seen it on the I'm gonna look for it, Clara. Gonna
Oh,
get your book.
Me too, and I also going to mention your name. Maybe you can have a virtual talk. during the
mándele,
Spanish.
pongan su correo en the chat para que Marcia lo tenga.
And
Ahí
I will-
está.
I'm
And
going to
then-
put mine.
Send it to Marcia so she has your. So Marcia, we have a list of children's book authors. So if you ever need them, let me know because many of them are available for school visits and we have a list of them.
I'm going to put my email so you can send me the list because I'm
Okay.
working with the Montclair Library to bring Latinos in the Hispanic America celebration.
Wonderful. So I could send you a long list of, bueno,
Yeah,
my
perfect.
list is Dominican books of children's books, but I can
Yeah.
send you that.
You know, this just reminded me, my sister's a librarian at San Jose State, and every now and then she gets to buy books, and she had asked me once for books by Latinos. So if you send that to me, I'll forward it to my sister and see if she could get it in the university over there.
Wonderful. Está bien.
Put my
Gloria.
email there. So
Trabajo
please
para
send
mí,
me your
por estar abriendo la
information.
boca.
Yeah, but it's coincident. I bought that pajón. I bought 2 of those.
Oh my God. I was like,
Nice.
thank you. Thank you. That's like it. I'm so happy right now.
And the Neruda book, I bought like a few of them to give away because I figured that somebody had to start educating everybody else.
Yes.
You know, they start pushing books and you know. And the only one, the Dominican book that you announced that week, the Dominican, I don't remember the name. I took it down, but it's out of circulation because I went to buy it and it's out of circulation.
Which
It's
book?
called Yo Soy Dominicana, Como Yo Soy Dominicana. I think that's the name of the book. Yes.
¿Será dominicana de Angie Cruz?
No, that book is not out of circulation. Is
No,
it
it was-
children's book?
No, it's grown-up books. I will tell you in a second.
Sí, si tú me mandas el nombre, I'll find out for you.
Okay.
If by the title.
So Lissarette, the 3 books
Yes.
that you recommended: The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog.
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now. It's
Yes.
The Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, Dr. Bruce D. Perry. What Happened to You, Oprah
Okay.
and Dr. Perry, and The Body Keeps the Score. The name is complicated, I don't know by heart, but that's the name of the book. The author, Beth something something. But the Boy Who Was Raised as a Dog, it's powerful, 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 powerful. And it's a read that, despite the fact that it has some clinical stuff, the stories just get you. They just get you. You just get, like, there's just 2 there that, like, for me was like, wow, my childhood. And these are children who many people thought when they were, the reason he wrote that book, it's because a lot of these kids were taken to places and they were like, we can't help. Sorry, too late for them. And he helped those children overcome the trauma. So he writes about their stories because these are cases that the government facilities, which there were low-income families, they were taken to, were like, we can't help. And he's like, it's not that we can't help, it's that people don't want to because it's a lot of work. So he's explaining, like, we need people who want to do the work, especially for these children. So read it, you're gonna love it, you're gonna love it. I'm here promoting Dr. Perry. Me van a tener que dar royalties o algo, porque yo ese libro se lo he recomendado a gente. So I need to, like, escribirle, be like, I need a commission or something, porque no estamos trabajando de gratis. You know, I got rent to pay. New York is expensive, so. Well, everybody, I know you have places to be and things to do. El domingo, I'm gonna go, porque my son has been knocking on my door for the past, like, 20 minutes. So, and I'm sure I know what's happening. He's hungry and he's with Papa and there's no junk. So he's like, oh, dile a tu mamá que te cocine. So let me go smack some people and I'll see you guys around.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Mil
you.
gracias.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
You're
much.
Thank you.
wonderful. Have a great
Sunday.
Sunday.
Awesome. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.